Hey everyone, it's the Cinema Dude, and I'm back in my movie room, and welcome to October. It is my favorite time of the year, the Halloween season, and so we are going to be doing different videos during the month of October that will be kind of in addition to what I'm doing over on my Instagram page, which is the 31 Days of Screamtober. And these are going to kind of supplement those, but you can either watch these or my Instagram page, look up what I'm doing there, or do both. So on my Instagram page, the past 2 days, we've been doing decades. So we started off yesterday with the 1950s, and we looked at the George Pale produced classic, War of the Worlds, which has a nice Criterion edition that came out this year. And then today we did the swingin' 60s, and we looked at She Freak from 1967. And that one I know I have it through a Something Weird release. So those two we'll be doing the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, and 2010s. And then we'll be doing some other stuff. So look for that on my Instagram page. Just search up The Cinema Dude or 31 Days of Screamtober. So let's get into the video today. So I thought I'd start out this month with how I got into horror and kind of what got me there and some of my stuff that I started with and why I like horror and stuff. So we'll start with the how I got into horror. So I really didn't get into horror movies until probably about really into horror movies probably about 8 years ago or so. When I was little, I'd watch some science fiction movies, Star Wars, some Star Trek stuff. But that was pretty much my thing, and I'd see Jaws, and that was really, and maybe in like Jurassic Park and stuff like that, and E.T. and those kind of movies. There was that kind of Spielbergian effect of, it's kind of scary, but not so scary. But if you wanted to go, what I first saw, I would say my first horror movie was The Birds. I remember watching that. My mom had it on television and it was on. I'm like, what is this? And I remember I was like freaked out because I was like, I was younger. I would probably say 7 maybe. And I remember just it being on TV and just being like, what is this movie? And I could not look away. I couldn't be like, okay, I need, this is freaking me out. I was like, no, I need to watch this. I need to watch this. So I would say that was my first movie, that my true horror movie. And then like I said, it was Jaws and things like that. So, fast forward a few years, here's Halloween. Okay, I'll check Halloween out and stuff like that. But that wasn't my kind of genre. When I first started collecting movies and things like that, it was comedy and sports movies and action and some science fiction films. But it wasn't like what I have now, a lot of horror and sci-fi and drama. I was very very not so broad in what I liked and stuff. So it really wasn't until I met my girlfriend Carrie, and she really got me into it. One of the first movies we watched together was American Psycho. And I remember seeing that, and I'm like, this is pretty cool. And now it's one of my favorite horror movies. But it was a movie that, for me, it was, okay, you have this kind of the silliness because, Christian Bale's portrayal of Patrick Bateman in the movie is just so kind of over the top that you can't tell if he's really crazy or if it's just, and he's a psychopath or if that's just in his head. So that was one of the first ones, and it kind of snowballed from there of just seeing other horror movies with her, and now it's a big part, as you see in back of me with my boutique labels, and so on the other side too of that's kind of a big part of it. I just kind of was like, okay, these are cool, And there was some, like I said before, there were some times prior to that, like just checking stuff on the TV, seeing Jeepers Creepers or seeing this on television and be like, okay, I don't have any interest into it. But now, checking out, oh, hey, this horror movie looks really cool, or this looks kind of cool, or oh, we need to see this, and in the theaters, like when I was younger and stuff, if I was going to the movies, it was, a comedy or an action movie or a Marvel movie. It wasn't like, oh, hey, like there's It's coming out or A Quiet Place. These kind of movies, like I don't want to. That's not for me. But now it is. So that's kind of like my how I got into horror, and a little bit of why I like horror. I think horror and science fiction are two genres of that you really got to put a lot into it, especially back in the day, and it is coming back a little bit now, but that peak 70s 80s period where practical effects were keen. um, you think about the Blob and the special effects in that movie, or the Chiodo brothers with Killer Clowns from Outer Space, and you look at all of The Fly and the special effects in that movie, and you look at the special effects of these movies, and a lot of it is practical effects, like just stuff they had to create in order for this stuff to work. And I think that's the one thing that really, once I started getting to horror, I really enjoyed, and that's why I think I do love the 80s horror movies the best, because there is something tangible there. There is somebody in front of you. It's not CGI and stuff. And nowadays some of the stuff is CGI. A vast majority of is it. But they're coming back to those things of having something tangible and then using the CGI to help enhance it. But like I said, having something practical right there, the special effects in The Thing and all these other movies where you just, it's there and it's tangible and you can see it. I can't say that enough, but it's just, I find it so cool, and to think of that is part of the reason why. But those are kind of some things that I like about it, and I think there's more creativity in horror movies. I mean, yes, you can have your standard. Okay, here's the next Friday the 13th movie, with Jason and stuff like that. Okay, they're pumping out another one of those. But if you really dig deeper into the genre, and you do find some gems, and you find things that I take The Immortalizer, for example. It just came out on Vinegar Syndrome in May. You think about that movie and the concept of it, of old people wanting to be young. Where have we seen that recently? Oh, Get Out, just in a different context. So you can see where these cinematic threads are coming through out time, and see how the genre has grown from silent films like Nosferatu to things like today, like Get Out. You can think of two ends of the spectrum that kind of have to do with silence, and you look at Nosferatu and how they view silence and shadows and things like that, and then A Quiet Place where it's all about not making a sound. And to see those kind of little cinematic threads, whether it be a vampire movie, a zombie movie, and see where it goes, but also see what has happened. You have the zombie films of the 30s where it's more voodoo based. Then you fast forward to the the 60s, and George Romero completely overturns the genre and makes it into they're flesh eaters. And then you flash forward a little bit farther, and you have 28 Days Later where they're running zombies, and you haven't seen that before. And then you fast forward again where it's now something like Train to Busan, and how they did stuff in that movie. So it's constantly evolving, but taking things from the past. So that's another reason why I love the genre, and not just horror movies, but science fiction as well. You take those concepts and those fears of normal everyday society and build upon it. And I think that's another thing too, is the escape. You have these fears of mortality and what would happen if society broke apart, or disasters or anything like this, and you have these fears of the dark. You have all these concepts, and our natural fears as humans, and you build upon it, or you use it in a commentary way of, social commentary or whatnot. And I think that just builds the genre better. I mean, you can have those things in westerns and things like that of, mortality and things like that, but it's not as prevalent, I feel like, as in horror and science fiction, because you can have somebody, get chopped to pieces by, Michael Myers. You can have, you can see that, and you almost like, oh man, is that what would happen? And you almost are outside of your body in this case of you get to see it from another perspective almost, and we get to face our mortality and face our fears, but knowing at the end, hey, the movie's over, we don't have to deal with that anymore. So I find that very fascinating. So with that, and I've talked about how I got into horror and why I like horror. Some recommendations on my end of things I just love to watch over and over again. I love Cronenberg's The Fly. The original with Vincent Price in 58. It's a great movie in itself, but Cronenberg just takes it to another level. And so that's one of them I love. Again, The Blob. I love the 80s Blob. Again, these are two remakes from films that, just silly science fiction movies from the 50s and the atomic age, and then bringing it forward into the present, but having different commentaries. One is a commentary on, your body pretty much giving up on you, and, and the people have said it's an AIDS, kind of metaphor with The Fly. And with The Blob, your anxieties of the Cold War kind of continue, but now in a, in a modern age. And so those are two I really enjoy. But also, Psycho. I mean, Alfred Hitchcock was able to, people, well, that's horror, but see some of his other thriller movies and stuff, and Strangers on a Train and Rear Window, and you have all these things, and it just kind of comes together in Psycho. Like I said, The Burbs was one of the first ones I saw, but I feel like that's if you had to tell one person about Alfred Hitchcock, that's what you go to. You go to Psycho. Some other ones I enjoy, if you wanted to go more comedy based, I mean, I love Night of the Creeps. I think that's just another 80s classic movie where, just like that and Monster Squad, which are both Fred Dekker movies, just the fun of what horror can be. It can be a little scary, but hey, here's like these stories where it's, or The Lost Boys too. It's like, it can be scary, but then you have these protagonists that you want to see through to the end. And, it's like you can put yourself in the shoe of, hey, I was an 8-year-old kid, and, I did that with my friends. We rode bikes, we did this, we did that. So those are another three that I just love. I mean, definitely Night of the Creeps and more for me. And then also to The Burbs, and that's a Joe Dante film that I think, if you know me, I love that movie. It's one where it doesn't more so go to the horror aspect because, it is of comedy and things like that, but it has those horror elements that, you watch certain scenes, you're like, man, that is just creepy. And then you look outside and you're like, what is my neighbor doing? What, it preys on those sensibilities. So that's like another one, in some of the Universal horror movies, you look at Dracula, Frankenstein, and those that kind of set the foundation and stuff. And I'm always finding, gems here and there. You look at some of the Giallo films from Italy, and, you look at some of the Korean horror, or, Japanese horror, and stuff that, it was some of the stuff, like you look at some of the stuff on Criterion that is horror films from Japan that you didn't hear about, it's from the 60s and stuff like that. And then you watch them, you're like, wow, these are really good. And that's the thing, too. I think horror is not just an American thing. It's a whole world thing, and that's really what I enjoy. So those are my kind of few picks. Comment below, what's your favorite horror movies? What got you into horror? What's something that you keep going back and back for? What do you do? What does the genre do? If I can speak, Friday night. What does the genre do that just makes you love it so much. Comment below. I want to see what your guys' stuff is, your stories and things like that. I think this is a great way that the horror community can come together. Is just talking about horror. That's one thing I love about YouTube and on Instagram is seeing, oh, hey, they love that movie. I like that movie too. And you get that conversation with people that, I might be in New York, they might be in Colorado, and you're having that conversation with somebody. And, or they're like, oh, you should check out this movie. And you're like, oh, I've never seen that, but hey, I like that actor or that. Or, oh, they did the special effects in this movie. I like that. And it just grows and grows. I know looking at some, channels and pages, you see, oh, wow, that's kind of a cool movie. I think I want to see what that's about. And that's a lot of my stuff here has been, I watch videos of what people have and saying, oh, man, that would be cool to have. And, oh, that seems interesting. Let me see. Oh, hey, it's available, $5. Okay, I'll get it and stuff. So, yeah, definitely comment below with all that stuff. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's kind of just my introduction to horror and stuff like that. And I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you so far are enjoying October as much as I am. We have some more Friday videos that we'll be doing this month, so check those out. Remember to comment, like, and subscribe to my videos so you can always get my videos, whether it's through October or throughout the rest of the year. Also, check me out on Instagram at The Cinema Dude, or you can, like I said, search up just The Cinema Dude or 31 Days of Screamtober to find my stuff. And remember, everyone, remember to be kind and rewind. Alright, see you later, everyone.